Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video for you. This is Tuned in Sports here. My name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
I'm Steve.
I'm Don.
And today we are bringing you some more content from the world of the National College, whatever the AA stands for, of football.
Like association.
yeah, that. So it sounded like a good idea at first, and then I'm like, wait, what does that stand for? I can't remember. So
Cartel, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna get into some NCAA football for you today. We're gonna be breaking down a couple of upcoming games, but before we do that, you know, there's been some news that just came out recently that a number of the other conferences that hadn't really said yay or nay on whether they're going to be playing this year or not have came out and announced that they're going to be, well, most of them will be doing 8-game schedules. So that was pretty exciting to see. I know the Pac-10 or Pac-12 just announced that they're going to be playing in, I think, late October. The Mountain West said that they were going to be having some games out, so that's encouraging to see. I'm happy that we're going to be getting some semblance of a regular season this year. We'll see what it really ends up looking like, and, well, all I can say is good luck to the bowl selection, people. Best of luck, y'all.
That'll be easy for them. They'll take from the Power 5, and that's all they need.
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, it should, just go with the usual 4: Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and whoever the fourth one is, and you should be set.
Yeah.
Georgia again. Something. Yeah, so, but I'm excited to see that, all these other teams are back in it. At least, as far as right now, they're all getting back in it. And it should be pretty exciting to see where the season takes us, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was wondering if the Big Ten and the Pac-12 were making a big mistake by, opting not to play. I know there's a lot of money involved, TV-wise and that, regardless of the stands being full of fans. So I figured in the end that, they'd come to their senses and say, we need to make some money here.
Mm-hmm.
And, ultimately it's a business, whether it be in the pros or the college ranks.
Yeah.
So I figured they would come to the conclusion that, better to play than not. And truthfully, up to this point, things for the NFL went pretty well.
Yeah.
They have this situation with
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Tennessee.
Yeah, where some of the Titans players have come down with the virus, but they just rescheduled for one of their bye weeks or whatever, so it looks like they'll still be able to complete the game. And nobody on the Vikings, as far as I've heard, has had any issues.
No, I don't think so.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the college rankings, a lot of the teams have been pretty good so far, withstanding Notre Dame, who seems to be having a new line of players every single week. But apart from that, college, the teams that have played, I haven't heard too many bad things. So, yeah. So with that being said, I definitely am excited to see where it goes. While we're on the subject of that, Dad here is a Michigan fan, and we just looked at the schedule for the Wolverines this coming year. And so, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about the upcoming season for the Wolverines, and what do you think how they're going to do?
I think they'll probably finish second to Ohio State. I think they got enough talent and everything to probably compete, but they, for whatever reason, can't ever figure out a way to beat Ohio State. So, with that being said, I don't know that they'll fare. I don't see them finishing any higher than second. Possibly worse. Sometimes Michigan State or somebody like that will trip them up as well. So
Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll see how it works, but I think, overall Harbaugh's done a really good job there of recruiting pretty good talent and thinking outside the box. And, I mean, people are upset with him. I hear a lot of people talking about, get rid of Harbaugh. He's not winning us a championship. And I'm like, well, don't you remember before he got there, we were winning 5 and 6 games a season? So, I mean, I'd be a little, I'd be putting the brakes on that one. I like to have, I like a team that wins 10 games a year. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I was going to say, bring him over the Boulder.
I mean, Harbaugh's one of the best coaches in the league. And, I mean, Michigan's just a tough place to recruit when you figure, who wants to go to the Midwest to play. And then, two, I mean, academic restrictions are fairly high at Michigan. So,
yeah, they are, for sure.
It's not easy to get in there. And so I think overall he's done a wonderful job. And, and the landscape has changed quite a bit from back in the days when Michigan was super relevant all the time. And now you got all these, like, what used to be, mid-conference teams, like, in the Florida area, that never saw the light of day as far as television. Now you see the Florida A&Is and all these different, schools on there. And so, therefore, I mean, that just, waters down the recruiting because those kids that would have been going to Florida or Florida State or whatever, well, they're opting out because they can play their home.
Or in Michigan's case, they're going to CMU and Eastern Michigan now because they don't need to go to Michigan to be shown on television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the invitation of ESPN 3, ESPN 8, ESPN 12.
ESPN Deportes.
Everybody's on TV now.
Exactly.
And so now it comes to the point is like, well, as long as they have some type of recognizable coach or something that can get me to the next level or get me into the combine at X, Y, and Z, I'm going to go play for them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, exactly. Like when Lane Kiffin went to, Florida Atlantic, I had never seen so many Florida Atlantic games. I actually may remember what their mascot looks like. I mean, they were on every single week. And I was like, hey, good for them. But that just ties right into what Dad's talking about. I mean, again, when you have that kind of stuff going on, you no longer need to go to a big-name school to get your name out there.
I mean, in a lot of cases, I mean, if you're really good, you get, you get more time to shine. You're not competing with somebody else that is trying to play in the same position you are. I mean,
yeah, you're not getting taken off the field for
right. I mean,
anybody.
It used to be where you wanted to play at like Miami, for example. I mean, get in line. I mean, everywhere you looked was NFL type players across the board, and so I mean, you could be an awful good player but never see the field.
Yeah.
Where now you can say, the hell with that, I'm going to go to Florida A&I, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah. Then on Sunday.
And then I'm going to play every week, and then, it's going to heighten my status to get to the draft. So I think that's really what we're looking at these days.
Well, I was going to say, McCaffrey left. I don't know if he's going to go to Greeley at the, up in northern Colorado where his dad's coaching, but it's the same thing. If you're going to be locked in behind 12 players, and whatever's happening, where you're going to go, you need to start playing. So you're going to go somewhere that needs to be in his case, quarterback spot, and then he's going to go there.
Right.
So
and wherever he can see the field is where he wants to go play.
Yep. And with a name like that, I'm sure he will.
No, I mean, it's Michigan's loss, but at the same time, I mean, it's a nice problem for Michigan to have.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. Well, I'm saying the local kid from Damani just moved up the depth chart.
Yeah.
So
that's good for us. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So
I'd like to see him in there.
I mean, when you got to make decisions like that, where you're letting somebody with McCaffrey's talent level skedaddle, I mean, that speaks pretty highly about what kind of talent you got around him.
Speaking of which, is it the same quarterback from last year for Michigan, or is
No. This is going to be number 5 is his number. I'm
drawing a blank on his name.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but
yeah, the guy with the face.
Yeah, but he's going to be the starter. It looks like, and then there's going to be.
Guy with the face.
I don't know. I mean, this whole season's going to be
Interesting.
unlike anything else that we've ever seen. So I just hope they're able to get it all in and play all the games.
Yeah.
And it's really less about, to me this year, it's really less about who wins the national championship. It's just the fact that football is being played. Mm-hmm. And I think from an NFL standpoint, I think they're probably going to look at it similarly, where at least now they have some tape on some of these guys that they want to end up possibly drafting. So it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Well, it's good for the seniors, and
exactly.
The seniors, especially the kids that won't make it to the next level, the next step. It's nice to actually go out, and hopefully they'll have a senior day for them on their last game, and that way they can close that chapter on their athletic lives and move on to the next chapter. But I think that's the best part is for the kids, so they're not in limbo and X, Y, and Z. But not to say that that they couldn't give them another year of eligibility. It'd be like BYU with the 2-year Mormon admission thing. So what I mean. You can always play a little bit longer, but it's kind of nice to finish in school, and it just kind of puts a nice little bookend to that collegiate experience.
Yeah, no, I
absolutely.
Agree. And I don't mean to sit here and sound like that COVID's not serious and that people should just disregard and play football, but every day I think we're getting a little bit closer to having some type of a vaccination or whatever for it. So, and most of the guys most people that are having the biggest problems are not young. So, I just think
Yeah, and besides that, the kids want to play, and as long as they're willing to go through X, Y, and Z to make it,
risks.
Yeah, and accept the risk, then if they want to do it, then that's fine. And like we said before, for the most part, a lot of the schools, it's been going pretty well so far. So I think that's a promising sign for sure.
Yeah. The problem they've got usually is it's the school itself.
Yeah,
I know CU has issues with COVID right now.
Yeah,
but it's the school, it's the whole school. And again, that's the tough part about it is, with the football program, you can kind of control, kind of where most of the people are, X, Y, and Z. But if you get, inside with the general student body, you don't know where everybody's been or where they're going or,
right,
what's happening with it. So then if, they come in contact, if and when they show up in class,
yeah,
they'll be.
No, exactly.
It's tough to do, but
yeah, that's the one piece of it that's kind of out of their control, if you will. You can't monitor everybody that walks through the doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And but like I said, I'm just happy to see football's back, and
yeah,
it's going to be nice to see the teams out there.
Yeah,
playing again.
Speaking of teams getting out there, Pac-10, like we said, or Pac-12 announced. What do you think about Colorado's upcoming season? I know they got a new coach in there.
Yeah, it's going to be a long year. It'll be nice for them to see if they could even pull out a win. With the late leaving of Tucker, it's just put the whole program into shambles.
Yeah.
They have the offensive coordinators, but again, it's a whole new system, whole new program, but put it in a few months. I don't see it if you've got the Oregons and it depends on the schedule. The schedule's coming out here soon, but
yeah,
their rival Utah, it won't even be competitive. It won't even be close. That's with them. So again, it's going to be a long season. It's just nice for the kids to get out there and play.
Yeah.
Maybe get some exposures, and then hopefully we can get a new coach.
Yeah.
But who knows what's going to happen with it? Because again, universities are hurting with everything with COVID, so they're not getting all the funding and everything with it. A lot of the schools had to cut other programs, so there's going to be a slippery slope and things going with it because you got to have the Title IX and all this thing. So who knows how that's going to play out. So it's just going to be interesting with it. They might hopefully maybe get smart with it and just say, hey, these are the ones in the programs that make us money or what we're doing. And just go with those instead of having those big pieces of the program subsidize all the other sports. Mm-hmm. But again, there's going to be a whole political thing about that, and it's just going to be a soup.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking going in. When you have, like you said, the coach do what he did there at the end, don't have any time to prepare. It's one thing if you say, hey, for the bowl game, guys, this is going to be my last season, so you guys have plenty of time to prepare. But, and then on top of the fact that they weren't even sure if they were going to have a season, so the urgency wasn't really there to fill the spot. And then it just, it's going to be a bit of a messy year for them, I'm afraid.
We'll see.
Yep. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Speaking of a messy year, look no further than my Seminoles here.
Are they playing this week?
Yeah.
Jaxsonville State.
Oh, that's right.
Looking like it's going to be a loss.
Yeah, the other team from Alabama.
Yeah. It's going to... Man, I'm questioning whether we'll even win this game. With how we looked last week against Miami. Couldn't have looked worse. So, guess we'll see.
Well, yeah, not too good of a start for the new coach there. He wasn't even present at the last game, was he?
No, he came down with COVID.
So,
that's good.
I mean, that didn't help anything, I'm sure. But I don't know that the end result would have been much different had he even been there. So, it seems like Florida State's down a little bit talent-wise from what they normally have.
Goes back to what we were talking about, though, with recruiting. All these smaller schools are getting all the good players these days because, you don't got to go to the major schools to get TV time, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's taking its toll. You're always going to have, the kids that, maybe grew up and were, Florida State fans or their family went to Florida State or whatever. Those kids are still going to want to go there, but if you got a kid on the fence, it's like, hey, I can go sit at Florida State and sit behind people for 3 years and then play my senior year, or I can go over here
and play all 4 of my years.
And play all the time. Well, they're going to opt to go play.
Yeah, exactly.
And put up crazy numbers or whatever they can, and then, opt to go into the NFL if they get lucky enough.
Yep.
And not only that, but, with the way that they've been playing lately, isn't that definitely not helping with the recruiting? Because people are like, "Holy crap! I don't need to go to Florida State to lose 6 games a year. I can go anywhere and do that. Barely make a bowl game. Shoot, go to Nevada."
Well, it's just tough. Again, it's that high times, and then since Bowden and Jumbo left, it's a different ball game. Yeah. And then once you lose that momentum, they're probably going on the way of Tennessee is the way Tennessee's been. Yeah. It's been a long haul for Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's been ugly for them. So I see Florida State probably going down that road so I don't know. It's just going to be a long haul. But again, it depends on the circumstance because, again, Mac Brown comes back to North Carolina, and it's like he hasn't skipped a beat.
No.
Yeah.
So again, it's just one of those things where it's got timing and who gets in there and who does what. But it's just rough.
Mm-hmm.
And to Norvell's credit, he did a wonderful job. Before he came to Florida State. So, the guy's definitely a good coach. And, he's got to be a decent recruiter to have success where he was at. So, I think he will get it turned around, but it's going to be one of those things where if you're expecting it to be within a year, then you're in for a rough season.
Yeah. Well, they did the same thing with Taggart, though. They only gave him, 2 seasons to get it figured out, and then they were like, "See you later."
But that's the problem with one of those schools is your chain is short, and if you don't make it, you're gone.
Unfortunately, the reputation precedes them.
Mm-hmm.
People think of Florida State, they still think back to the glory days when Bowden was there and they were winning stuff, and so therefore the expectation levels are always too high.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Perfect example is Miami, right? Their rival, same thing. Yeah. It's been lean. Except for when they had right there, which was a great hire. Again, put them back on the map. But that time that they had, since their glory years, even in the early 2000s, it's been it's been a tough sled.
No,
It's been brutal.
I mean, yeah, just growing up watching football, I would have never guessed that Miami was, a force to be reckoned with back in the day from what I've watched growing up, because since I've watched them growing up, they've been middle tier to lower the whole time.
Yeah.
And every year it seems like they have great expectations, and then they just end up being just another team in the conference, and you're like, oh, okay, there's the Hurricanes again.
Yep.
The one good thing I'll say about FSU is their basketball program is on the uprising. They've been playing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't. I think they'll end up winning this coming week for the Florida State, and then get ready for next week's pounding.
Yeah, because we got Notre Dame. That's going to be just a...
Well, who knows with Notre Dame if they even play.
Yeah. Well, their key thing is just do the big school thing. Get on top of them, get them out of the game early.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep hanging around, and then if they're able to stay with them, it might be a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be able to sneak one out, and take the check and the W at the same time.
Yeah.
But if to Florida State to be successful, they just gotta impose their will and their ability right away.
And the biggest key is make sure that running game works, because if you put it in the hands of Blackman, guaranteed a game.
Well, I mean, just as long as he's part of the running game.
Yeah.
With it, and just don't put him in the obvious passing downs, because
that's when he.
That's where he's gonna fail.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, like, you can't tell me there's not somebody better out there than that guy. At least in terms of who we have on the roster right now.
Well, there's got to be some reason they're not in.
Apparently not, because otherwise they'd be playing.
Yeah.
I know.
Because, especially in these coaching ranks these days, you don't have time to wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Don said a mouthful a little bit ago. You don't have time for this stuff. You win now or you're gone.
Yeah. So if there was a better option on the team, he'd be in, I think.
He'd already be in.
Because he doesn't have time to fart around with this guy that throws 5 picks a game, and
I don't know why you'd go that route if you didn't have to.
Yeah. The tough thing about it is I know over the last, I'd say 10 to 15 years, is that the high school ranks have become what college used to be, right? You have these super teams and these teams that recruit, and they're not going to say they do, but they all do. That are good, and you start selecting these kids out of these programs. Well, the problem is it's just like all the major schools, right? When they go to the college, the NFL. Well, is it them or is it the talent around them? Right. I mean, if he has 6 hours to sit back there and throw the ball, and wow, this guy looks great, on film.
Yeah.
But the problem is does he have 5 guys that are going to Wisconsin, or that's going to be on their offensive line, and does he have receivers that are 6'5". I mean, I'm seeing film of a couple of these kids that they're like one of these joke things, but I mean, these kids. There was a kid I just saw yesterday. He's 6'2" and he's 10 years old.
Yeah.
And the dude was a truck out there compared to the other kids. And you're just like, what the heck? And then there was one earlier a couple weeks ago that was like this 6-year-old or whatever, and he was already almost looked like he was like 5'7",
yeah.
And the other kids are like 4 foot, and they just gave him the ball, and he's like, just like running right through him. Yep. But again, it's just this whole thing of it comes down to the recruiting program and what they see and the talent they get. So if you're not recruiting well, it's going to be a problem when it shows up on Saturdays.
And that point that he made about the quarterbacks are just the talent, is it them or the people around them? Perfect example. My team. Look how many quarterbacks from Alabama are in starting jobs right now. A whole 0. And look how many of them went to the NFL and were drafted and played a couple of games and then were never seen again. That's because, they had better offensive line in college than they did in the pros, and they weren't dealing with that kind of pressure for 11 of the 12 games.
Yeah.
Then when they had to actually deal with it, they didn't know what to do, because they're like, holy crap, I've never had to deal with this before. Usually I've got all day. And like we talked about before, when you got all day to throw, eventually the defense is going to break down because you can't cover somebody forever. You don't know where they're going to go.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there's not 8 in a box anymore. It's stopping the run, and you're just throwing one-on-one coverage out there to Julio Jones or Jerry Jeudy, just running up rugs, running out there, running by themselves, running a 40-yard dash.
Exactly. Exactly.
All of a sudden, it's like, you mean I have to throw it in windows? I have to throw a timing? What? Oh, there's going to be somebody in my face.
Exactly.
It's a different ballgame.
And then you got guys like Jalen Hurts that won the Heisman and was a finalist this last year, and he's not even being used as a quarterback in the next league. So it's like it's a hard thing for sure. But I think it'll be interesting. And Florida State moving forward, like Don said, it's going to be an uphill battle for a while. And the biggest thing is I think it's a culmination of recruiting's not what it used to be, but expectations are still the same. But the problem with that is that the coaches that come in don't really have enough time to meet those expectations. And now they've been so far in the tubes these last handful of years that they're not an attractive spot to get better. And so then the coaches get replaced before they can actually see if they're going to make a change, as well as the talent is not what it was. And it's just a accumulation of just that, and then expectations from, like they said, the people thinking that, we can get right back to what we used to be. And the culmination of those things just has you sitting at average for a very, very long time until you get a dose of reality.
I look at it like, a lot of this shit to me has to do with the boosters. The boosters, who's the boosters? Most of these boosters are probably old people, been around for years, watching Bobby Bowden and these people. So they're used to seeing winning football. And now they're not seeing it. So they're like, let's pull the plug on this. Because overall, it's still a business. And the schools don't want to see these boosters pull their money out of there.
Yep.
So if the boosters say, look, Norvell ain't doing worth a shit, we need to get rid of this idiot. Well, guess what? Whether he's a great coach or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're gone. If they want you gone.
If you start impacting the pocketbooks in any ways.
Oh, no, exactly. That was,
It's all about the money.
Talking out your neck, get your throat cut.
So, it's just, to me, it's a simple.
Yeah. No, I saw CU, same thing. National program for years.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, black eye hit them in the face with Neuheisel and Barnett. And then next thing you know, everybody's boosters and everybody's like, we need, these different people. And then guess what it did? It just pretty much shut the valve off to wherever they're recruiting. And then next thing you know, they're, struggling in the Big 12. And then, eventually when the Pac-12 came along, they moved into that. But then again, they come in and they're the, stepchild of the whole conference because they're battling USC and Team Nike in Oregon and Washington with all these, $300 million weight room facilities, and and then they finally upgraded theirs a few years ago, which then put them at least in line with the teams in the conference, and it helped a little bit. But again, now here comes the coaching carousel.
Yep.
That's with it. So again, you just need to be lucky enough to have somebody that's darn good in what they do, and be able to be hanging around for a little while to keep the program going.
Yep,
because
exactly.
I think Washington State's going to find that reality here really soon.
Yeah.
As you can see what Leach did to Mississippi State
already
this last week. Yeah. So again, you got to have facilities and you got to have the people.
Yep. And that really goes back to also, now obviously with Washington State, it wasn't one of those things where they couldn't get rid of him fast enough. They obviously wanted to keep him, but he's going to greener pastures somewhere else where he's going to make more money and stuff like that. But some of these teams, like Michigan, for example, be careful what you wish for wanting Harbaugh gone so quickly when he's winning 10 games because how many coaches are going to come in there and keep him at that level? Who knows? Might be a lot of people that come in there and they'll be right back there to the Brady Hoke I mean, Brady Hoke was supposed to be the answer after what's his nuts, Rich Rod, right?
Yeah.
And Rich Rod was supposed to be the guy that was taken over and not, keep them where they were at, but elevate them when he came in.
You can also do the same thing. I mean, look at Ohio State. I mean, it was for Urban Meyer. I mean, first they had Trussell, who was the best, but again, he ran into issues with sanctions and NCAA coming down on them for illegal stuff. But again, who put that program on the map as the ultimate power is Urban Meyer.
Yep.
I mean, and now this new guy, he's still with Urban's recruits for the most part. I think next year will be his first year without probably any of the Urban's kids. That's there, and we'll see where he goes with that. Nice thing for him, he's winning, and he can kind of keep a little bit of that momentum going. But if the other schools step up, I mean, like Minnesota seems to be getting some momentum here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Recently, so they might be something to start to contend with and see what happens.
Yep.
With it. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. I definitely think that Minnesota is. I mean, at first I thought it was just a irregularity that they seemed to get a little bit better each season, but yeah, they're definitely picking it up. And last season was proof of that. They damn near won the conference, so good for the Golden Gophers. Even though
the Gophers.
Even though I don't think Dad is hugely happy to see the Gophers getting better.
It doesn't really matter to me. My concern is
losing to Ohio State.
Is Ohio State, truthfully. I mean, because you don't beat Ohio State and you don't go to a national championship game.
Yep, exactly.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things. And, I mean, Michigan, knock on wood, has, been able to recruit enough talent to be relevant. And I think Harbaugh deserves a lot of credit for that. He's kind of thought outside the box and, set up recruiting camps in different states and stuff like that, which kind of ruffled some feathers. But in my opinion, that's what you need to do if you want to compete. And so kudos to him for, doing stuff like that to try to get it right. And, I mean, I look at all the people that should be leading Michigan football. I can't think of anybody else that should be. I mean, that guy bleeds Michigan blue and gold. I mean, so
that's why, as we say, be careful what you wish for, fans. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he bleeds maize and blue, so I mean, there's no reason really to look anywhere else. And if you're tired of winning 10 games, then go find another team. Because there's a lot of teams out there that are never going to achieve that.
Yeah.
So I would be in no hurry to want to get rid of him. I think he's done a heck of a job. I mean, it's frustrating, to get clobbered by Ohio State and whatever, but I don't know if it's so much him, The defense has just played flipping horrible every time they've played him. But yet that defensive coordinator gets nothing but a bunch of praise. Oh, yeah, Don Brown, he's great. Well, okay, let's look at his record against Ohio State and how many points he's given up every year.
Yeah, it's usually plus 30.
Yeah, they're scoring 40 and 50 points on you. So, I mean, part of that's offense, obviously, too. I mean, the offense is obviously not moving the ball well enough, so, defense is on the field a lot, but whatever. I'm just saying if you're sick of Harbaugh, then you need to find a new team because he's not the issue.
Yeah. Just so we don't extend this video too much longer, I just want to do a quick little bit about Alabama. They're going to be playing at home against Texas A&M tomorrow. I think they got Kellen Mond as their returning starter, so I think that they should be better this year. And they got Jimbo, but with that being said, I think they beat Vanderbilt something like 12-7 last week.
17-12.
17-12. That's right. So I don't know if last week was just an abnormality or what, but I'm thinking we should be able to win this week. However, what I will say is I hope that they're not buying too much into the hype, because after last week, a lot of people were saying, Clemson, they didn't play as good as other people were expecting, and so looks like they're going to take a step back. Meanwhile, Alabama's going to be the favorite again, but hopefully they're not bought into the hype, because even though they did play really well, I still saw some things that need to be improved. So if they go in there thinking it was just going to be a cakewalk on the way to Georgia, they could definitely get surprised. And it wouldn't be the first time against Texas A&M either, because, well, Mr. Manziel did it to him in the past, and I definitely think Kellen Mond is a pretty decent quarterback, so we'll see.
And we'll see. And you never know about Jimbo.
Yeah, Jimbo.
Did he prepare already in the preseason for this game too? You know what I mean? You just never know. And he didn't install everything and just ran something vanilla.
Yeah.
In the first week, just to make sure, like, oh, hey, let's make sure we run these correctly, and then start opening up the playbook. But again, it's just usually it's there's the tier within the tiers in the SEC.
Yeah.
And Alabama's part of the top tier, so I don't see them probably having any issue with the Aggies today.
No. I really, my biggest thing is like I said before, if they start buying into the hype too much and don't take them seriously and just say, oh well, we got Georgia in a couple weeks, so don't even think about this game. We got bigger fish to fry. They could end up getting surprised. But as long as they prepare properly, which usually Saban teams do, I think we should be able to take care of business. But Texas A&M is definitely going to be one of the more difficult. Like he said, there is tiers, but they're not necessarily Vanderbilt or something like that. So it's definitely not a game to take lightly.
No, I agree. Jimbo Fisher's no stranger to big games. I mean, he's played in plenty of them, and he's pretty good. Pretty good coach and does a good job of preparation.
Yeah.
But to me, it still comes down to talent, and not too many teams can match up with Alabama on a player-to-player basis.
No.
And it's not only just that, but it's the depth is where the difference is at with most of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because you just simply can't, perform with them all day long as they're bringing in backups that are playing as well as your starters are playing. And then when you bring in a backup, it's like, oh, shit. What the hell happened here?
Yeah, they're just getting exposed.
And the problem with Alabama is it's a 5-star recruit on top of a 5-star recruit. So
right.
You already know the guy's got talent and skill at the water.
I mean, a guy like Saban, he already knows, okay, this offensive line that's here this year, I'm going to have to replace all 5 because they're all going to be gone. They're all going to the NFL.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things is he just keeps reloading.
Yeah, it's a factory.
And I mean, I understand that, obviously he's getting the talent, so he's able to do it, but kudos to him, too, for the coaching that he's doing. I mean, seriously. I mean, he always has his teams prepared. Mm-hmm. And if you think about the fact that none of those teams are always, he's got a lot of new guys on the starting unit every year because so many are leaving. Yeah, no, he's replacing half the team every season. But again, like he said, 5-star recruit behind a 5-star recruit, you're not losing a whole lot there. But No, but there's something to be said for that.
No, I completely agree.
I
completely agree.
I don't think just because that's happening that any coach is going to go in there and win all the championships he's won.
No.
But whatever. That's up for debate, and we can.
Well, it's a double-edged sword. You look at anywhere here locally or any other schools that sit there, and all of a sudden you go from the guy that's like, oh, he's great, and then there's this guy like, oh, what the hell? And he's just getting torched all up and down the field.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It must be nice to have Fitzpatrick and Humphrey and you go into, Scarborough, Henry, and you just vomit of all the
Ingram
and vomit of all the NFL starters that you got out there.
Yeah.
And so you're going to tell me that, that it's, it's Phil Jackson, right? Hey, just go out there. Hey, oh yeah, I got Jordan and Pippen, and oh yeah, okay, oh I got Shaq and Kobe. All right, just hey boys, have a good time out there. Don't get hurt. Here's a couple plays we draw, with the bottle cap and all this stuff, and you'll be fine. But again, it's a perfect mesh of his coaches and his mindset and attitude with everybody.
Yep.
Everybody in there and the talent.
Yep.
So it's just the perfect storm.
Yeah, and his mindset and all that stuff is what brings the talent in because they're like, shoot, why wouldn't I want to go to a championship every year? It's like, hey.
He's done a wonderful job. That's all I can say.
Yep.
And he was good everywhere he was previously.
Yeah,
He
moved.
won at LSU. He won at Michigan State. I mean, he didn't win a championship, but he had Michigan State competitive as hell.
Yeah, and Utah.
So,
And Utah, but hey, with that,
the Dolphins. Oh, wait.
Dolphins, yeah,
Everybody else has had the same talent as he did.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So but again, it's just that thing that he's like Urban Meyer. I mean, you just plug him in, and guess what? Boom, gonna be good.
Yep.
Most likely. So
Yep.
so when Urban goes to USC, we'll see USC.
yeah, yeah. Well,
When Urban picks up the notepad for USC, we'll see what Because again, guess what? All those recruits in the Big Ten and all these SEC teams are. Hey, I'm gonna go play there. Because guess what? Oh, yeah, he wins national championships.
yeah.
He's just not like he's winning games. He's national championships.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. With that being said, one thing that I've been kind of considering, well, not really considering, but just kind of crossed my mind is like, when Saban leaves, it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening because I'm not assuming that he's going to be around too much longer. I know some people are saying that he wants to maybe give it another go in the pros. I don't know about that. I just honestly see him stepping down before too long, just simply on the basis of, at this point it's just how much longer does he want to do it because he doesn't really have anything left to prove. But one thing that I was kind of thinking is, what is it going to mean for the school after he leaves? I obviously think we're going to be taking somewhat of a step back, but I also think that when you set a precedence for winning and stuff like that, and you got that kind of recruiting and stuff, the person that comes in there afterwards, they're going to have a lot to live up to, but I think when you put the team on the map like that, whoever comes in is going to have somewhat of a easy road to just say, hey, well, all I have to do is just not screw it up, and we should be decent, I would think.
This is going to come down to recruiting.
Yeah, and
it's the same thing. The guy. He's got statues like the other guy, Bear Bryant.
Yep.
Bear Bryant's the man. I know what Saban's done a lot recently, but Bill Bryant is the guy at Alabama.
Yeah.
That's with it. But again, once Bear Bryant hung it up, where was Alabama?
They weren't there.
Nowhere. They were the Tennessee of the SEC
right.
there for all those years when he was gone. Gene Stallings and all these other people that came in and like, oh yeah, and they're like, oh okay, yeah, here's a 500 record. Thanks.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? It was tough time in Mudville.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But until Satan came along, it was good.
Yeah, no, exactly. When I first started rooting for the team, Ole Miss was a nail biter. It was like, oh great, who are we playing this week? But now, every week it's like, oh okay, that'll be a nice warm up for the next big game. So, but we'll see what ends up happening. And like he said, after Bear Bryant left, they just disappeared. So really, I'm just enjoying this while it lasts because I would not be at all surprised if that ends up being, hey, remember all those years they were great? Yeah, that's nice. Where are we now? Well, good luck against Arkansas.
I just think the landscape's changed, though, from those days because, well, maybe not so much, but, it all depends on the name you bring in there.
Well, yeah.
If they go with some guy you never heard of, I think it does go. But if you get somebody that's a fucking name, like,
Well, even if they just move up Sarkeesian, I think they'd be fine.
Well, it's Florida. A perfect example. You can't tell me with Urban Meyer and with Spurrier, right? And again, same thing, right? You get Spurrier in there, the old ball coach, throwing things around, making it exciting. And then all of a sudden, then you get, Urban Meyer in there. But as soon as Urban left,
McElwain,
Florida just, went down and, they've gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
A little bit decent, but again, they're not throwing out national championships. They're not throwing out Heisman Trophy people.
Nope.
They're not, you know what I mean? It's a whole different ball game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing about it is just the key part is you got to have a person that wants to stay.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they don't, they want to go to bigger aspirations. it's going to leave a huge hole in your program.
Yep.
I mean, just like you said with Harbaugh, right?
Yep.
I mean, as soon as Harbaugh goes, guess what? It's
Trouble.
going to be back to the same of, Lloyd Carrs and, and everybody
Brady
else
Hoke
that's
and Rich
there.
Rod
Yeah.
and everybody
You know what
else.
I mean? It's going to be mediocre.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's going to be back to shit again.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, with that being said, that's been our thoughts on. Well, for me, it's week 2. I think Bennett, you're on what? Week 4.
Week 3.
Week 3. Okay.
Wait, actually week 4. Yeah.
Yeah, week 4, and they'll be starting their
Week
season before in a couple weeks.
We're just getting the misery started early.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like you said.
We're not waiting for the games to start.
Like you said, yeah, I'm just going to watch the other team's players and go, wow, those guys look good.
Yeah. So with that being said, guys, we thank you for tuning in to Tuned In, and we look forward to bringing you more content. After tomorrow's game, we'll be releasing a review. It'll probably be coming out either tomorrow night or early Sunday morning. More than likely early Sunday morning, just because by the time the game gets over, who knows what time it'll be, especially out on the East Coast. Probably be like 10 o'clock, something like that. So, but expect to see a week 4, 3, 2, whatever week it is, review for the games that we previously mentioned. And until then, stay safe and, have a great rest of your week, I guess.
Remember, if you like the content, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yep.
We really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot of fun to do this.
Yeah.
And we sure
And
appreciate you.
yeah, and one thing I was thinking moving forward too is, especially when we're all playing, we'll maybe get into doing like the thing that we do for the NFL, where we talk about the upcoming games each week, kind of like we do the NFL. I think that might be kind of a cool thing for you guys to look forward to. So
Huge.
yeah, huge.
Tremendous.
Exactly. So, with that being said, guys, and like he said, with the tuning in and subscribing, those two have their own channel also called DENT Sports, so make sure you tune into that, subscribe, and check out their content as well. With that being said, guys, my name is Bryson,
I'm Bennett.
I'm Steve.
I'm done.
and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.
Bye-bye.